Good morning and welcome to another Memphis Monday, Memphis Monday 215, the 7th video of year 5. Last week we built a ladder chair and I was pretty proud of it actually. Then I was looking through the internet and typed in ladder chairs and hit image, and one of the first things that popped up was a catalog page from Rockler that had a design for a ladder chair that's very similar to the one we came up with last week, only it looked a lot better. Well, anyway, that kind of weirded me out, and I decided to rebuild it and just make a whole new one and use some of the design features from the Rockler ladder chair. And so that's what we're going to do this week, but we're not going to get anything done unless we do what? That's right, we need to knock off that chit-chat and get to work. Here's our project from last week. I was pretty proud of it until I went to the internet. I usually stay off the internet before I do a project because it psychs me out because everything looks so good. But I Googled a picture of ladder chairs and this one popped up. Looks a lot like mine, but it looks a lot better. And I thought today we'd take one of those prototypes and try to copy this because I think they've got some things here that we don't have. So here's our prototype from last week. So what we're going to try to do is, I think we'll make these holes bigger. And we're also going to take these cleats out and put dados in there. But before anything, just like last week, we have to make these back rails here. And now I'll run that through and I'll get a slat. I need a total of 9 of those. I blew by this last week because of time, but this is how you do this. You get your screws, come over here and decide where you want to bend it to. I want to bend it to about right here. So, okay, now I have a hole for my screw. I squirted some glue on these strips here. Okay, now put that one in there. Put that one in there like that. Put that one in there like that. Now I just bend this thing around. Bend it around here where the screw is. Well, I got our back rails all clamped up. In this particular design, you'll notice that the outer bands here of the triangles here are all of similar size. And the cutouts go right out to the edge of that and define that shape. But on my design, you can see that this cutout actually it's fairly narrow right here. It's wider here. I got these big gaps here, big gap up here at the top. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just sort of random. It's just not satisfying the eye. This needs to be a narrow strip of 1.5 inches, and these cutouts need to come right out to it. The width of these cutouts need to have some rhyme or reason too. What I've done is I'm making a whole new template and trying to apply some logic to my design that when I make a cut, there has to be some reason for it. You know, this 22 and a half degree cut, that's logical because it has to be 22 and a half degrees to make up the 45 when it meets the other half of the stool. These, I've simply put a line down through here of, you know, 1.5 inches and 1.5 inches over here, and drawn my cutouts in 1.5 inches here and 1.5 inches down at the other end down there, and made sure my cutouts come all the way to the edge of that of those delineations. So here's our new template. You can see that the sides now are more consistent. These cutouts are bigger, and there's some rhyme or reason to them. Okay, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and take these templates and cut out the oak framework, and we'll go from there. And here's a new oak supplier I came up with. These are 8 by 24 sheets of oak. They're a panel, they're a glue up. What I'm doing is I'm cutting this down to a 15-inch slab so I can cut out the templates. Well, you saw me cutting out the stock for the treads, total of five pieces. Because I got the oak cut out, like I promised. And now what we have to do is we have to put dados on the inside here, hold up these inner treads. Okay, I'm putting the dado in. I already about half tested it here, and this dado has got to be parallel with this top here and perpendicular to this back here, so I can use this back to line it up. Now that was just the template that I put that test piece in, but that dado's going to go in just like that. Okay, we only get one shot at this, so let's so wish us luck. Well, there's our pretty deep dado. Let's see if our shelving material fit in there. Oh, it fits perfect. Look at that. Now in this one, you notice I have when I put this dado in, I had it pointing, I had the flat side against the fence with the narrow side down to the right. Now when I do this, the flat side's against the fence, but the narrow side is to the left, because these two things are mirror images. Well, we got something standing up at least. I think it already looks better. So I put a little 1 1/4 inch block of wood in here. So in theory, that should straighten this thing out and make this cut here parallel with those two surfaces. Let's test that theory. Yeah, you saw me cutting that. Cutting this piece here. Okay, I got the two dados for this one and this one. All the rest of the boards, there's 1, 2, 3 more boards, but they're just on top boards. So I got these two inner boards ready. I got the dados cut, but I haven't rounded over or sanded the frames yet because I didn't want to do that until I got the routing, or until I got the dados in. So let me go ahead and route these and smooth them and get them all ready to go, and we can start doing some assembly. And here's a specialized problem. When you have dados like this, you need to mark them so that when you come to that dado, your bearing doesn't fall into that slot. Okay, we'll do this side right here where that bearing's going to fall in there, and I'll show you how I'm talking about. Here I've zoomed you in to show you what I'm talking about. See how that bearing gets in that dado? Well, that's going to, there's nothing to stop the cutter from cutting way in. So when you get to that point, you got to kind of hold back on it and do it that way. So I'll show you that. On this design, it doesn't have this front stringer across here like I put on that other one we made, but it does have this fancy apron. It kind of makes looks like it makes a shape like this. Let me draw that and I'll show you how I come up with that. So what I did on this little apron is I split it up in fourths and put a little dot there, and then just sketched in this little sine wave between these dots. Actually, before we cut it out, I guess we're going to put the pocket holes in. I'm going to attach this with pocket holes. Well, it seemed like it was cutting out awful slow, but actually it only took a couple of minutes. Now these are self-tapping, fine thread pocket screws, but they still may not go into this oak. I may have to pre-drill. Well, that one worked. I'm going to use dowels and glue to hold this thing together. And then these little dowels, you just cut them off flush. Okay, there's the front part of the ladder chair. The lighter wood here is hard maple, and this is red oak. Okay, let's do the chair portion. Okay, the piece we're going to put in now is this little piece down here. We're not using these cleats. I don't know why I even put these cleats in here. Now the way I'm lining this thing up is I got this spacer in here. This is just temporary. It's just put in there so that these two pieces of the frame are the same distance apart as they are down here. Same deal here. I'm going to put just a little bit of glue. I'm not going to spread it out. I'm just going to put it right in the center. So kind of limit the amount that squeezes out. If anything moves, I'm hosed. I'm using the same stain I used on the prototype, which is cherry. But on this, I ran out of cherry. So this is oak and hard maple. So it'll look different. But other than that, I think it's turning out pretty good. Let me go ahead and stain this and we'll take a look at it. Well, there's our chair, our ladder chair. I was just looking at the picture, trying to decide if ours looks as good as theirs. I don't know if it does or not, but it's definitely an improvement from our version from last week. Well, that does it for another Memphis Monday 215, the 7th video of our 5th year. Today we reworked our ladder chair design and got it in, took some pointers from the Rockler catalog page we took off the internet. So pretty fun project. I think we had a lot of takeaways. We covered a lot of things this week that we didn't have time for last week. So I think we got some takeaways. But anyway, make sure you like, favorite, share, all the stuff you do on the internet. But most important, make sure you're back here next week for another exciting Memphis Monday. Thanks for playing along.